When the nation speaks, the roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Join the conversation that matters the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The roundtable dives deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Only on Wiz TV Live. The roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Join the conversation that matters the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The roundtable dives deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Only on Wiz TV Live. The roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Join the conversation that matters the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The roundtable dives deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Only on Wiz TV Live. The roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the roundtable listen, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Join the conversation that matters the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The roundtable dives deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jai Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Only on Wiz TV Live. The roundtable, where every voice counts.
Quelqu'un dit de dire au ministre en essai. Quelqu'un dit au ministre en essai. Tu dois rester. Quelqu'un de foreign essai. Quelqu'un a presque là, quelqu'un tout massé. Quelqu'un dit de l'imé a presque nassé. Amanda. 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 Presque quelqu'un. Abbas, presque quelqu'un. 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 T'as une police. 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 Quelqu'un dit le limite à presque nassé.
To obtain a driver license, the database should be given to the Lebanese, allegedly being attached to Hezbollah. Are you telling us that we undermine the relationship of America's traditional ally, Israel?
What if government fail to adhere to the course?
Well, it is their right. We cannot fight off it. From God's government, we are here calling the government to make a new.
So the viewers are asking if you are angry because it is a Lebanese country or
Why? It's not about being angry. It's about the law. The Ministry of Transport was founded in 1987 that gave us all of those statutory functions to perform. You cannot go and then craft a concession using the 1972 Police Act. 1972 and 1987, which one is more earlier than that? It's 1987. So that was being devilish, that was being satanic, that was being demonic. We call on the government to make a new turn.
Yeah, so just want a message for you.
Again, we call on our people as they are being peaceful within their assembly, that they will be peaceful, and we call on the government of Liberia to make a new turn, and that U-turn should be in the best interest of our people, because it will astonish you to know that about 265 persons will be laid out. The CSA standing order says that once your position is not functional, meaning it's dormant, you'll be redundant in 3 months. So if you take motor vehicle from Ministry of Transport, you get 265 employees. You come to work, they just pass here and not doing their work. Meaning their positions are being dormant.
Yes, okay.
After 3 months, they will be redundant.
Yeah,
and that's why we don't want. Labor law says that if one person is being employed, you help to at least capacitate at most 10%. So you do the calculation, you know how many persons will be affected.
Yeah, so to that point, Minister Sanyo, similar question was posed to him as to those affected employees. What become of them? He said the government will find a place for them.
I cannot speak to Mr. Sanyo's statement. I can say he's one of the official spokespersons of government. I'm speaking about those issues that affect our people. So I don't want to dwell on the statement made by Mr. Sanyo.
Thank you very much. Your name again?
I'm Shadrach Destiny Evangelical.
Shadrach who?
Thank you.
Shadrach Destiny.
Okay.
We are representing this program. One is true, we came down to dedicate this project. I want to use this meeting, Mr. President, to formally or informally petition you on behalf of the people of Lofa County. Because that's what the Constitution provides. The 300,000+ people cannot speak for themselves. They must pass it through us. That's why they elected us. And we have built serious consultations along with our chiefs and elders, opinion leaders. That we have nothing in Lofa County, Mr. President. Our only measure, one of the young kids said, resource that we have in this county, it's time for it to be neutralized for the benefit of our people. If Gavin Wologisi will cost us to get this road all the way to Medicoma, gave out Wologisi, Mr. President.
You listen to Thomas Fala?
If Gavin Wologisi will give us the biggest referral hospital, please give Wologisi. Mr. President, if Gavin Wologisi will give us the biggest tertiary education for our children, give Wologisi. Mr. President, if Gavin Wologisi will provide job opportunities for the young folks, Mr. President, you have 100% our support. This is the caucus member. I will see.
Okay.
Ok, bah, je vais entendre. Il n'y a pas. Là, tu peux y aller.
Chief MOE.
Moving to the south, la bonne position de cette. Combien ça? Pas de tiens. Pas de tiens. The Ministry of Education then developed a program, and that program was Getting to Best. Under that program costs, if I'm not mistaken, over 100 million or around there. That program was to clean up the system and make our education system better. So from mess, getting to best. I remember the global at a conference in Dakar, Senegal. If I'm not mistaken, either Rihanna or somebody went there to sing it, but the conference was intended to raise funds. And the fund that was raised at that program, 11.9 million was committed to Liberia for educational development. And because we needed money to support that bigger educational plan, Madam Sali made a case to the World Bank. And the World Bank allocated $50 million United States for this project. You know, when I say Madam Sali, then Joseph Bagan as our president. Wow. And so, when those kind of money are secured, the first thing you need to do is to develop the project. When the project is approved, then you sign. This thing takes time. And so the project development started. One David Bessa, at the Ministry of Education at the time, Honor Minister George Warner, was the focus person for government. His full name is David Woos Bessa. You have one Peter Devaz and Colleen Hawk, who represented the World Bank, the lead to develop the project. In the process of developing the project, the government came to an end, and a new government was ushered in January 2018. Bessa was still at the Ministry of Education up to November 2018, when he took the ministers of education at the time, the deputy minister, Latin Guitar, and 13 other people to the states. Because every government that comes must either decide to continue the project or they want to change it. And so under the leadership of Minister Soli, the then government, they decided to continue with the project. The start of the project, Rennie was here in 2019, and Minister Samuel Twelve signed finally after the project was developed. And Rennie, the first superintendent, the principal here at the time started. I remember I was representative then, and later he died, and I think Francis, or somebody else took over also, Francis. Now, the project started. And so, in short, it was President Weah who started the project after Madam Sali and President Boga secured the funds. In the middle of the project, President Weah's term came to an end. And then President Boga came in. And under the able leadership of Madam Jaso Jawa, this project is completed today.
Senior President of African government, and members of the delegation, our traditional chiefs, members of the folk estate, members of the Diplomatic Council, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. As I was sitting as a lady that people may doesn't understand why the bank was a AAA bank. Please provide a name. Thank you very much. It is a great pleasure to welcome you to this occasion of the meeting for the longest time. And today we're here to celebrate a great friend of Liberia, Alexander Africa. Captain Premier, we welcome you very much in this day. Also, why we had to rush to come back yesterday to make sure we meet you. Your presence here today is deeply meaningful to us and even to our youth. The fact that all three branches of government are represented here in volumes about the value of place and your message and the respect we have for your leadership and the contributions you have made to Africa and continue to make. You're trusted as a partner and a champion for African development. One of your visionary leadership, the African Development Bank has not only grown in size, but redefine the way development financing works on our continent. The bank's capital grew more than $4 billion each 10 years compared to its later work in the previous 50 years. And I'm sure that the statistics are there. That is not progress, it is transformation. The especially honor that Nigeria is one of the countries you have chosen to visit as you conclude your remarkable tenure. And I'm not saying conclude, moving into another area, as we discussed before, that will be even more meaningful to our evening. This visit gave us an opportunity to learn from your experience, and we have drawn inspiration and unwavering dedication to Africa's development. And by the way, you did it better than I narrated, you know. You have shown the world that all our years, when combined with your vision and determination, can produce extraordinary results. Through your leadership, the African Development Bank has invested in real solutions that touch the lives of everybody. In Nigeria, the bank current portfolio is impressive, standing at $408 million and covering 18 projects in sectors critical to the growth of the country. These include transport, energy, agriculture, finance, multi-sectorial initiatives, These investments are not just numbers on paper. They are loans that connect our communities, and they did the lives of our homes and businesses, agriculture that protects and strengthens food security and create income for farmers. We also appreciate your support of public financial and monetary reforms, which have improved fiscal discipline and enhanced service delivery to our country. These steps have helped us rebuild trust in governance and set the seed for lasting progress. Perhaps one of the most exciting initiatives today is the Youth Entrepreneurial Investment Bank. This speaks directly to the health and future of this country because over 60% of our population is under the age of 30. This program gives hope to our young people by turning them from job seekers into job creators. They will provide financing, mentorship, and the skills they need to succeed in agriculture, technology, the knowledge-based economy, and other emerging sectors. This aligns perfectly with our address agenda for inclusive development. We place a strong emphasis on economic diversification and private sector growth. I don't know, but when you call me, I can tell you in Nigeria that they have the youth entrepreneurship. And I want to say here that we are on the right track. We also see that we domesticate our rescue mobilization initiatives as a game changer, one that will support inclusive and sustainable development for Nigeria across Africa. Look at Alicia, as she prepared to move on to the next chapter. I want you to know that your legacy in Nigeria is strong and enduring. The program you have championed will continue to make an impact for years to come on the lives of people and the land of God. As we look to the future, we sincerely hope that your success and the African development plan will give thoughtful consideration to the liberty project and ambitious infrastructure initiated and connected Nigeria, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Mali. We want to emphasize that because, as you know, that is the key project to connecting this region, especially the Nile River Union. While this project is fundamentally about regional integration and shared prosperity, we must admit we will also love to play a role of a gateway that allows our neighbors to express their Atlantic, and that is very important. We believe this story holds great potential for unlocking growth and strengthening cross-border trade. So on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria, I want to extend that appreciation to you and the African Development Bank Foundation. as I was listening to the agriculture minister, and I usually tell them that in government, the minister of finance cut your money to balance the budget and leave you with the problem of budgeting the balance. So you always have, if you take your money to balance the budget and leave you with the problem of budgeting, I hope you can budget the balance well. And you were talking about dreams.
So indeed, pleasant good evening from Liberia. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of July 2025. My name is William McGill, and this is the program, the Roundtable, a regular program that comes in 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Liberia time to 10 p.m. Liberia time, or better still, 5 p.m. the U.S. time up to 6 p.m. the U.S. time. And it's a great pleasure to be on this presentation with Mr. Samuel Abu. Let me say good evening to you, Mr. Abu, and welcome again to this week presentation of the Roundtable.
Good evening, and I hope everything has been going
Hello.
well with you. We've been following the Liberia, we've been following the activities and looking at your production. You've been doing extremely well, and I just want to say welcome to all of our viewers out there from around the world. Tonight is going to be another exciting uh, presentation. We have more people coming around. We'll be talking on major issues. Well, we hope you all get glued, but I want to say thank you and welcome to all of you who are out there trying to look at us. Thank you. Trying to look at us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abu, for coming on to today's presentation, and we hope all of our panelists can join us as well as we talk more about these issues around our country. So basically, there are a lot of issues that are happening in Liberia, and we're just going to throw light on some of these issues while we with these panelists to join us as we delve into our topic. We have uh, some other issues making news on uh, the internet and on news outlets that are major as well. We definitely going to look at them and talk more about these issues as well, and just give our own personal views and opinion on these issues. So let me just run through with some breaking news before we come to discuss on issues that are very pertinent and matter the most on this presentation. So basically, we have situation coming in from the Ministry of Transport. This is not new here. Some part of a week or two, we discussed this situation when the Ministry of Transport, along with the Liberia National Police, switch up the uh, vehicle registration and documentation process to the LTMR. That's the Liberia Transport Management (LTM) around SKD, and this is one issue that sparked serious concerns. And today again, we saw these guys in the street protesting at the Ministry of Transport, calling on the Liberian government to make sure that the claim is a Lebanese company shouldn't have full control of the transport situation uh, there. So they believe that this alone gonna take a lot of jobs from Liberians and other there. So the decision by the government of Liberia, according to these protesters, also is registration of vehicle license plate and the issue of driver lessons to a Lebanese company, Liberia Traffic Management raised serious national and international security concern, according to them today. And they say the company is believed to be linked to Hezbollah, a designated terrorist organization. These were some of the claims they made, and that is sourcing the war between Israel and Lebanon. And you know, they said that the government renting this Lebanese company 25-year concession agreement allocates 70% of the revenue that will be generated, while the government of Liberia will have 30%. So uh, this is one issue that we witnessed all along today, and it was it's a tense situation. I must admit that you have these people out there at the Ministry of Transport calling on the Liberian government to see reason to take the contract. Again, you have people praising this process. They said we saw a lot of comments that before the process take about 5 days to get driver lesson, but now with the transition in the process, you have just a day to obtain your driver lesson. So we just hope and pray that this situation and these protesting uh, workers can be able to have some dialogue and understand that this situation needs to be under control, and as well as the government can be able to find a better remedy or a solution to these protesting individuals. Also, we witnessed the president of Liberia, President Joseph Boakai, running through with some major cabinet meeting along with the launch of youth empowerment project at the ministerial complex. We also witnessed the dedication of a hospital there in Bombay. We over the weekend again witnessed two separate government public schools being dedicated in both Bonk and Nimba counties. We will look at that and talk about some of those situations as we go forward. But Mr. Gray is also on here tonight, so let me say good evening to you, Mr. Gray, and thanks for being part of tonight's presentation.
Hey, good evening.
Hello, Mr. Gray, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you live. Good
Yeah,
evening and
I'm.
welcome to the roundtable, and thanks for joining us on today's presentation.
Yeah, thank you too, Sam. Thank you. Look, it's a raining night here. I just rushed into my flight. So if you guys could give me just a few minutes, I will set up and then I will be with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, no
Okay,
problem.
thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So, Mr. Abu, let's just look at let's take a look at this drug situation that involved this lady, right? The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency charged and forward Uta Dolokosa to court in US 181.00 thousand United States dollars cocaine case. The Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency forwarded suspect Peter Dolokoso to the RIA Magisterial Court following the arrest for trafficking narcotics into Liberia. On July 12, 2025, Mistress Koso, a 39-year-old Liberian national, arrived at the Rabat International Airport from Bangkok, Thailand, via Kenya Airways flight number KQ887 at approximately 6 o'clock p.m. LDA officers discovered 3.335 kilograms of cocaine with an essential street value of 181,000 United States dollars. While in custody, the suspect fell ill during preliminary investigations on January 16. Antonin's counselor Lafty Glout and Julius R. Ade submitted a formal request for medical attention. The LDA approved the request, and Mistress Koso was treated at JFK Medical Center. We saw that photo on the internet as well, with medical records in file with the agency, the LDA now. Suspect Quita was formally charged on the 21st, which was yesterday, by the LDA and forwarded to court under the following provisions of the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act of Liberia. Section 14.83, it says trafficking and importation. That's one of the charge or one of the section of the Liberia Controlled Drugs and Substance Act. Then they also charge under section 14.85, sales, distribution, administration, delivery, and transportation. Section 14.89, possession. Section 10.2, criminal conspiracy. These charges fall on a non-bailable offense as outlined in Liberia's revised drug laws. The LDA remains firm in its mission to dismantle drugs trafficking networks and call on the public to allow the judicial process to take its course in the ongoing cases involving both Quita D. Koso and Tony Obi. So that is it right there. On yesterday, this entire situation with Miss Quita was sent to court. And the good part about the drug law in Liberia now is that it's non-bailable. So for the fact that you cannot build somebody out of this situation, it shows that there's some strong way of tackling drug in Liberia. But let's know from Mr. Abu on this entire drug situation. Let's listen to what Mr. Abu has to say.
Thank you so much, William. Let's look at this thing from a very broad perspective. Many things are being done. I mean, this should be a high-profile case, not because of who is involved, but the quantity of drugs that were brought into the country, and especially at the time the government, the Liberian people are really, really, really finding a way to get rid of this drug business in our country. If we look at it today, the first mistake was made. Let me tell you, let me be very frank, but I don't know whether that is how it happens in Liberia. We did not need a lawyer to request for medical attention for the suspect. We did not need a lawyer. The LDEA, after the person is apprehended and the person is being a suspect, and there is a probable cause that a person should be charged, LDEA takes care immediately. They don't have to turn her over to anybody for medical attention. If they are going to take her to the hospital of the choice of LDEA and make sure that they are going to guide her in the hospital, they will be there with her until she is charged. And sometimes she even remains on the bed, on the sick bed, or on the sick bed while the charge is brought to her and read to her. But I mean, that was the first place, because when something like this begins to happen, the case is going to be tampered with from the beginning. So that was a wrong concept that they accepted right there. Now let's look at the quantity of drugs that were brought into the country. Everyone in Liberia is saying, oh, drug is killing our children. Drug is making things are not working. Drug is making the armed robbers are going all around and spoiling our country. Now, everybody has taken into it. And based on this, the legislature decided to pass a very, very, very stringent law, making the act very, very much unbailable. So In what instance will Quita Dolo be taking, first of all, get turned over to her lawyers or turned over to a lawyer who will come and do this? Because you see, the thing about drug is the people who are involved, who make the best money, they look very clean and nobody is going to suspect them. It is these ones that are in the street that we normally see because they cannot afford any lot of things. Here is this drug came, she bought it from all the way Bangkok. Bangkok is in Thailand. That's one of the major places of drug production in the world, Bangkok. Now she came from there. She comes in. We are hearing all of these public opinions and this and that, but public opinion must not be the one to sway the attention of the law. The law remains the law. If nobody should be treating her like any special person, okay? Because as to the matter, even though she went to the magisterial court in Robertsfield in unification time, we still believe that the quantity, the amount of money involved must be above that particular court. So it will just be the matter of presenting her there, and that the judge may either say, well, we have to transfer this case to the circuit court, and maybe that they will just listen to the beginning of the case, and that is all about it, and transfer it over to a circuit court. But that particular case is not a case of a magisterial court. If it is non-biddable, I think the LGA should come in immediately. If they are not sufficiently equipped to handle the case, they should call in the national police, or they call in the Ministry of Justice for assistance to make sure that this case is a. This is why we are calling it. They are referring to it as as something like a high-profile case. It's because of the quantity involved, and sometimes coming from someone that many people would never have believed. Because I'm looking at people coming in and telling us, she belongs to this group of people. But when it comes to criminality, there should be nobody who should be above that law there. I think the lawyers when LDA, according to that news that you just read to me, that LDA allowed some lawyers came and asked for her to have medical attention. LDA was never to accept, but LDA was supposed to provide that medical attention at their own rate. It did not have to be at the highest place, but just where they feel satisfied, that's where they were to take her, But all in all, we have gone so far, and I still believe that drug is, substance use, the peddling of substances into our country is having a very big impact on our system. We are having people go to training programs. Government is spending money for students or for children going to, or young men and women going to training programs. When they come from there, because they have no job, they go back onto the team. So we are still saying that with all of this going on, government must not forget its own responsibility to make sure that they provide the proper means for people to get away from this drug use or from the peddling of the drugs. And that one way to do it is to make sure that the law remains the law. Those who are apprehended for the trafficking of these narcotics must be dealt with and fully with the law. Cyrus, you got something to say about that?
Okay, Mr. Hello, Mr. Gray, are you there?
No, yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to set up. I hear you guys, but I really have nothing to say about that drug issue.
Okay. So that is it, Mr. Abu. And so at least like you said, right? But now I think is the issue about drug is a bit better with the reverse drug law. In still, we used to have the drug situation where we can have somebody coming in to bid someone who has been charged for bringing drug into the country, and go home, relax, and have time while the case is being processed. And but at least nowadays you have people coming in to prosecute these people that are bringing drug. This is one thing that is very, very serious in Liberia. You have a lot of people out there fighting against drug. You have the government trying to, put in some money with the issue of drug being curtailed, in as much as we can have the entire situation minimized or done totally. We can have it minimized, and a lot of young people out there in the street, you know, taking in these substances. So I think despite, like you said, despite of who is supporting this, there should be a way that we can have these people brought to book and paying or bearing the penalties of the kind of situation or crimes they've commit. Yeah. So that's it about Mr. Abu. Let's just talk more about this Victorian situation about the decentralization of the port. At least we have Mr. Gray on now. We can dive into this situation. But before we dive into that, let me just read some past articles about this. It says Liberia's legislature has vetoed to end the National Port Authority's decades-long monopoly, passing a landmark bill that strips the NP of control and hands operational power to autonomous port boards in Monrovia, Buchanan, Greenville, and Harper. The House of Representatives on Tuesday, June 24, 2025, concurred with the Senate on the sweeping port reform legislation, clearing the way for one of the most significant structural shifts in Liberia's maritime history. The bill creates an independent seaport and inland port regulatory authority, dissolving centralized control and introducing localized governance across the nation's four main ports. The move marks the first time since the National Ports Authority's founding in 1956 that Liberia's port will no longer be managed under a single state-run agency. The Joint Committee on Maritime Affairs and Ways, Means, Finance, and Development Planning, which championed the bill, described the change as a long overdue correction to decades of uneven port development, mismanagement, and bureaucratic stagnation. Bill is vital to positioning Liberia as a competitive maritime nation in West Africa and beyond. The committee stated in its report to plenary. So that is just a brief history about the entire decentralization. This is the main reason why they're trying to do it. I think one major reason is a lot of bureaucracy with the port situation, the free port, and well, I think we can get Mr. Gray coming in to talk more about the port situation. Good evening,
Just
Mr. Gray, and welcome to the.
just before he comes in, I mean, just to let you know, Mr. Cyrus Gray is one of the icons of port activities in Liberia. When we say he's an icon, he's an expert. He has a lot of qualification in it. I think most of the time he should be an expert to most of the documents or an advisor to some of these things that they do. So I think most of this thing that is happening today may not be very strange to him. So maybe he will just be able to give us some genesis, either what is going wrong, how we should have done it properly, and what his opinion is. Mr. Gray.
Oh, okay, guys. Thanks a lot, man. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad to be here. I mean,
Yes.
I know I got called on fairly short notice, but and then I'm gonna be flying out of here in a few hours, so I was rushing to come home and get ready. But I can give you guys a couple of minutes of my time. Now, maybe we should get some context first, right?
Yeah.
In Liberia, we have four seaports. Four seaports that belongs to the government, and that's the Harper, Greenville, Buchanan, and the Port of Monrovia. And those 4 seaports, the structure under which they operate is through a national port authority. So National Port Authority oversees all the seaports. So each seaport has a port manager, and then you have the National Port Authority that oversees all that. But most time you hear about the Port of Monrovia because 90% of the trade in Liberia goes through the Port of Monrovia. And that is where the National Port Authority leadership also sits. So the emphasis most times on the free port is called a gateway to the Liberian economy. Just a little bit about the other ports. The Port of Buchanan has a commercial pier there that belongs to the National Port Authority, but most of the Port of Buchanan is an iron ore port. It was built by Lamco in the late 50s, early 60s to export iron ore that is brought from Yikipa to the Port of Buchanan. So the larger part of that port is used to export iron ore and is under the concession of ArcelorMittal that has taken over from where Lamco stopped. Then we have the Port of Greenville. The Port of Greenville was mostly a logging port. So logging companies take their logs there because the larger part of the forest in the country is in the southeastern region, and they survive on logging. Today, that port doesn't do too much because logging is not a big business in Liberia. I understand the government of Liberia a couple of years back entered into a pact with the European Union or Norway so that we don't cut our logs, and they give us some $25 million every year so we don't cut our logs to enhance global warming. You can look at the merit or demerit of that, but because of that, the Port of Buchanan is more or less inactive.
The Port of Greenville.
Yeah, the Port of Greenville. Good, thank you for that. Then you have the Port of Harper, which is at the most southern tip of the country. That too was a logging port, more or less. But you have some concessions there. GBL that is doing oil export, but they don't export it through that port. They take it to Ivory Coast. So that port also is more or less dormant. Having said that, what we have been experiencing lately was an attempt, and I say an attempt because the 2 bills that you guys were mentioning have been returned to the legislature. The president vetoed some of the items in the bills and sent it back to the legislature. But what are these bills? The first of the bill is called the Decentralization and Modernization, Seaport Decentralization and Modernization Act. What it sought to do was to make each of the 4 ports and any other port that will be built going forward to be independent and autonomous. The authors of that bill believe that the central authority or the MPA sitting at the Port of Monrovia is fixated on the Port of Monrovia and is not putting enough emphasis in the development of the other ports. So the idea was that let each port stand by itself, create an economy around the area that it exists, have its own board, look at opportunities there and function in such a manner. So there are arguments for that and there are arguments against that. Now, if the ports are to stand by themselves, the legislature thought that then they will need a regulator. So they wrote another bill creating the Seaport and Inland Ports Regulatory Authority. So that authority now is going to oversee or regulate the operation of the independent ports. So those bills went to the president, and the president published, I think, a 7-page letter raising concerns about certain issues in especially the regulatory component of the bill. Now, if you read the regulatory component of the bill, a good part of it literally takes away the functions that have already been assigned to the Liberian Maritime Authority. Okay. So, and then there's an area where they allot for themselves an income that, each port will pay them 10% of their revenue and whatnot. So, and then they create a board for each port. So the president had issues with that and sent it back to the legislature. The idea is that whether the legislature will now revise the bill based on the concerns that the president raised and send it back to the president, that is for us to see what's going to happen next. So you know, obviously, that the Port Authority was strongly opposed to that because, I mean, it breaks away the power that they have as an institution. Their argument is that the ports are better off under one central authority because it leverages larger resources and assets and all that. There's an argument for that. Now, be as it may, the port itself, the current Port Authority has been a little very aggressive. They've gone and formed partnerships and identified sufficient money to do some development, especially in the free port of Monrovia. And these these legislative acts coming up, throwing that at risk to some extent. So that is the environment that we are into. The Port Authority itself has partnered with a Moroccan company called Massa Morak, and Massa Morak has sourced some $250 million to build a multi-purpose terminal at the Port of Monrovia. So with this act coming that make autonomous, that seek to make autonomous each port and independent, they throw some risk to that. But the merits and demerits, Express will argue that there are good sides to either of the argument. Anyway, one of the things that the proponents of the new bill raise, which is glaring, is that the emphasis of the MPA has been too fixated on Monrovia, and they have not invested sufficiently in the rest of the other ports. Whether that is sufficient to make the ports independent, and that independence will solve that part of the problem, well, that's something that needs to be studied.
But you, Mr. Gray, looking at port system, do you think it's really possible for, what do you think the Free Port of Monrovia or the Port of Monrovia management, the MPA management could really do to enhance the capacity of the other three ports and make them economically viable, maybe more than 10% or more than 15% of the economy really we get to?
So there's no cookie cutter for that, right? Because general norm is that port development follows commerce, follows cargo.
Yeah.
Somebody will argue that, oh, you can make the Port of Buchanan a container port just like the Free Port of Monrovia. Well, that is a long shot, because if 90% of the containers that are brought into the country are going to businesses and individuals who live in Monrovia, more than likely the shipping lines will bring the containers to Monrovia and not Buchanan, because by taking them to Buchanan, they will be bringing in extra costs. Now, I will use specific examples because in each category, the circumstance may be different. Like I said, the port development follows commerce or follow cargo. Why is Buchanan viable? Because you have 3 trips of iron ore train coming from Nima to Buchanan, to the Port of Buchanan every day. You have ArcelorMittal moving 15 ships load of iron ore every month. So for iron ore purpose, that port is viable. How is the MPA plugged into that? That is another challenge, because some of the port services one of the major port services, marine service. Basically, marine service is bringing a ship from the ocean into the basin and taking it back. That requires you to put a pilot on the ship, require you to use tugboats, require you to moor the ship on the berth and all that. Even though the private operator operates the port, but those functions normally should be for the MPA, but they are not doing those functions. The reason is because they gave those same functions in Monrovia to APM Terminal as part of the agreement, and the department that handles that was literally dissolved. So the Port Authority, the Buchanan Port management is hamstringed. In fact, I was doing as a matter of due diligence, I'm doing a consultancy for a private company, a European company right now, that have had me going into the ports, and I was surprised to know that the port management in Buchanan does not even go into the ArcelorMittal side without permission, right? So I think the Monrovia Port, the Port Authority, MPA, could create more control and empower the local port there more to benefit from what is happening, even on the ArcelorMittal side. But then there are other things. You got major fisheries in that region. We give license through NAFA to fishing companies, but we have no fishing port. So they carry their catch to different countries. So there is no telling what they are catching, because they could tell us they're catching 10 tons of particular species of fish or tuna, but we're not there to verify it, and they don't come to our ports to do it. So an easy opportunity could be for the development of a fishing port in Bicano or Rivers Edge or Sino. So you create business already, because you already have almost 50 vessels that are licensed for you, and you could insist that, well, if you want to maintain this license, you have to process your catch at this port that we have set up for you. If they process their catch there, because of the bulk of fish that they're bringing, it gave an opportunity for people to take the gut of the fish and make fish oil, omega-3. It gave opportunity for canning companies to get set up there to take the small mackerel, so can them like we'll see in the stores. So, but that decision comes from the port authority, because the port authority that controls each of the port. So if one were arguing for the autonomy of the port, one would say, okay, if the port of Greenville was independent, maybe they could consider putting a fishing pier in the port and partnering with NAFA to make sure that all the registered fishing vessels go into there to process their catch. But because the MPA has low-hanging fruits at the free port of Monrovia, and they are not close to those opportunities, maybe they're not thinking that far. So that could be some of the argument for privatizing it.
But then, Cyrus, don't you think, because of all of these little things, don't you think there will be a need for a regulatory that will be able to specifically identify what the Port of Monrovia can do, what the other three ports can do specifically, and be able to share their responsibilities instead of having the Port of Monrovia determining what goes on in the other ports?
You mean the National Port Authority?
The National Port Authority.
Okay, so the model that is common around is that you have a National Port Authority, and they have a business development group that looks at the acreage that they have, the coastline, and the possibility of shipping, and they develop ideas to make those ports viable. So in spite of the laws that are being contested right now, that there is a need for us to think outside the box a little more, because the reality is that we have these ports and they are more or less dysfunctional. So the Port Authority needs to, what do they need to do? And maybe they need to more specialized, trained people, more business-minded people. But at the risk, the fact that those ports are dormant is the one that is leading to the mitigation that, okay, let's make the port independent. What are that making the port independent address that problem is something that needs to be studied. And that is the point I'm making.
But if we go around it, let's say, for example, a port like the port of Harper, these guys who are making the oil palm, instead of shipping through Harper, they are taking it to Cote d'Ivoire through San Pedro, I think.
Correct.
Okay. Why do we have the port? What can we do with all of these people? Is the government just chasing money to sign contracts, and they do not bring in ways that people can utilize our ports, our facilities we already have spent money on to place?
So to answer the question, it comes back to the same discussion, right? The big concession here there does not have a port, but they have to export their product. So maybe the Port Authority should look at the business case for that and upgrade the Port of Harper so that it will be able to absorb the export of the palm that comes from these companies in the region. In the absence of that, the companies are looking for the path of least resistance so that they can get their export out. And that deprives us of the value chain, because it is San Pedro now that benefits from the export, the value added of the product from GVL. So it comes back to the same question. Are we better off with the National Port Authority making decisions across all the ports, or should each of the port act independently? Maybe the people in the harbor will say, well, if we have complete control over this port, we will compel the companies in this region to use our port. So these are the kind of, and I'm saying this because the nature of these kinds of issue, the national nature should engender public discussions about it, rather than everybody getting up in the morning and see, oh, okay, they're trying to pass a bill to make the port autonomous without the public really understanding what does this mean, and being able to make an evaluation with informed knowledge about the pros and cons of the way things are right now and the pros and cons of having the port operate independently. I'm glad that the law has been sent back to the legislature. I will hope that they can open up to public discussions about these issues with specifics so that we can find the best solution. What are the solution mean that will remain as we are, but reform the port authority so that those concerns can be addressed, or whether each port be made independent. Because remember, one of the downsides of making the port independent is funding, right? If the ports are standing on their own, there are no activities, how do they operate? Are we going to go pull money from the government budget again to subsidize them? So these are some of the questions that need to be answered, need to be discussed here.
Well, they could also have business development areas in their own system. But I just want to ask you, I think you would have been opportune to see the concern of the president vetoing the two bills. You said, I think if I listened to you earlier, you said there were some complications that were like taking away some of the functions of the Maritime Commission. What are those concerns?
So the president's letter is public now. One of the things the president said in the letter was that he supports the decentralization of the port. It's in his letter. But their major concerns were from the regulatory component. So if you read the act to create the Seaport and Inland Waterways Regulatory Agency, it says that they will conduct inspections of vessels. They will license marine companies. They will enforce the International Maritime Organization's conventions. I mean, more or less, if it's implemented, it will just leave the Liberia Maritime Authority to become just a ship registry. And and I think that was the concern and those are legitimate concerns. If I had to advise the government, it were privatizing the ports. Even if they were not privatizing the port, I think that the Liberia Maritime law should be strengthened so that the regulation of the ports, whether it be an MPA or individual ports, can be clear and concise, because the Liberia Maritime Authority already provides that role in many ways. If you want to build a port, you have to get a license from the Liberia Maritime. I say so because there is a private port that is being built, right at the tip of Bomi and Mosurado County by a Chinese company called Baochico Resource. Why are they building this port? Because they have a mining concession that is in the Wapulu area, and access to the port of Monrovia to export the iron ore is impossible because there are no rails. There's a population density around Monrovia in the Douala and other places. Trucking iron ore is not advisable. So they build a road from the mine towards Bomi, and they have taken license to build their own port. And those licenses, part of those licenses were based on authorization from the Liberian Maritime Authority. So I think we could strengthen the Liberian Maritime Authority, because inside the Liberian Maritime Authority is where the expertise is. Most of the trained Liberian maritime persons, whether it be for port, maritime education, or whatnot, are in the Liberian Maritime Authority. So rather than making a new law, creating a regulatory agency, you already have the Liberian Maritime Authority. Maybe strengthen them more, maybe create another department and a deputy commissioner for port regulation, and then strengthen the law so that they can oversee the development and operation of ports rather than the MPA being her own regulator, because technically that's what it is right now.
Yeah, he wants to ask a question.
Okay. Mr. Gray, let me just ask you quickly, right? The president cited ambiguous language and redundant structure as well as governance risks as some of the reasons why he vetoed this bill. So now, what next do you think lawmakers should reopen hearing to restructure the decentralization bill on the local seaports?
I didn't get the question.
The president cited ambiguous language, redundant structure, and governance risks are key reasons why he vetoed the decentralization of the seaports bill. So my question is, what next do you think lawmakers should do in making sure that they can have a perfect hearing and a better structure of this bill to be presented back to the president?
Well, the reality is that the Senate, which is still sitting, yesterday discussed the president's letter and they sent it to committee and gave them a timeline to come back with a new, with a revised version to present to the president. Well, I don't know whether that is sufficient. I think that because of the technical nature of what they are doing, I think there's a need to look for the technical people to advise on those issues that the president has raised. Their incoherence issue, their usurpation of mandates of other institutions. So they will need lawyers, they will need maritime trained people. So just going back to committee on their own to review the bill, I don't know, and in such a short time, I don't know whether it will serve the purpose. The thing is, like any laws, we don't have the habit in our legislature actually subjecting bills to scrutiny. I think this provides an opportunity because, fortunately for the people of Liberia, you have an association of graduates of maritime schools. They are well structured. I've listened to a program the other day where the leader and some of the members were opining on this matter. In other countries, when stuff like this happen, they call public hearing and bring in the experts to be able to work around it because the port is an impactful institution. Ports are also major engines of economic growth if they are managed properly. We have 4 seaports. I mean, I would tell you that we are not getting the full dividend of those assets that we have. So the need for us to reform them is glaring, is ever present. Whether reforming them means making them independent or looking at the MPA structure as it is and identifying the shortfalls and mitigating them. Those are the things that should be subject to discussion with the involvement of the National Port Authority also, who are the ones who are managing the institution as it were right now.
Okay, let's leave the bill a little bit. Cyrus, you were part of, I think way back, I still remember you with sea transport at the Ministry of Transport when we had land, air, and sea transport. Looking at the MPA and the seaways of Liberia, do you think it's possible for us to have sea transport to reduce the transportation risk on the highway, the motor road, to have some sea transport leaving from Monrovia to the various ports? I mean, taking passengers.
100%. We have a 360-mile coastline, and most of the population of Liberia live along the coast. And that is one of the resources that is not utilized at all. We should have ships or badges moving from Cape Mount to Monrovia to Buchanan to Greenville to Maryland, if not moving passengers, but moving commodities. So we have easy access to those areas. It would take you a day and a half to come from Monrovia to Maryland. If you went to Maryland, you wanted to drink a cold beer, the beer that's going to be before you would be Solibra. Because it's easier to get Solibra from Ivory Coast than to get it to Maryland by road. That same applies for cement and for all the major commodities that are needed. And if we were to invest in that, we'll create a whole new economy. because transportation logistics itself is an enabler. If you had a scheduled shipping lane along our coast where we know that this vessel will be here every Thursday, every Tuesday, every Saturday, people will be able to get their commodities, they will be able to fill their stores, people will be able to move things back to the capital. We could even get people transshipping their container commodities from those regions to Monrovia to put in the containers on the container ships. So that is a low, that is a major opportunity that needs to be unlocked to provide a whole economy for us. And we have one of the longest coastlines on the continent. We have our coastline is one of the least used.
Utilized.
Yeah.
Okay. But you are really an expert in this seaporting business. I still remember way back. If you still have the time, can we look at other topics too?
Oh, I mean, if it won't take up all my time, I need to pack my bag.
You used to be at the Ministry of Transport.
Yeah, I was assistant minister for shipping at the Ministry of Transport.
I know that. Now, today the Ministry of Transport is having a new thing. I think after you left Ministry of Transport, they read the act that established it and gave them more functions. Because when you were there, I know they were not doing driver license at the Ministry of Transport and everything. They finally gave it to them. Now they are taking it away from them. It is becoming a very big public outroar. I don't know why they are taking it away, or the people are more concerned that they are giving it to a Lebanese trader or a Lebanese company. One thing we can know is that the Lebanese have been with us for a very long time. We consider them as some of our major business partners in the country, but we still have to look at things that, even though the people are citing security issues, all these people have been with us. I mean, how you think will be a way forward?
Well, I mean, I've just today I was there at a restaurant near the ministry and listened to some of the employees. So this is a little dicey issue, right? The driver's license and vehicle registration has been moved around from the Ministry of Transport to the Ministry of Finance, sometimes to the police. And it appears there is some ambiguity in the law because somebody was citing that in the police law, it gave them authority over issuing driver's license. But it's also in the Ministry of Transport regulation. And what we are dealing with right now, the last administration entered into an agreement with a private company to enhance law enforcement from the traffic side. So these people invested significant dollars in police cars, motorcycle, tow trucks, and the whole system. And the last government, in their wisdom, entered into that concession and had it go to the legislature for ratification. Again, whether it made sense or not, it was made law. So we have a quagmire right now. This company has been sitting in the wings. Apparently, the enforcement of that concession has been delayed, probably because of the same reasons we are having today. I understand they have gone before the courts, and the court ruled that if this is law, then it needs to be enforced. Now, also of the fact that they made a law, does it make sense for a private company to issue driver's license? Is there any example for it anywhere in the world? Okay, issuing driver's license is not just the ID, is control over personal information of citizens' bio data. Is this something that should be in the domain of a private company? Are there safeguards to make sure that these private people who only interest is business do not abuse the information that is being placed at their disposal? I don't know. Now, if I were to find a middle ground, I would say that the staff at the ministry that have been trained to do this work should be the face of this new operations. Why are they not including them? Maybe they should come to work for this concession that has been created to handle the driver's license, while the investor manages the back end. Their interest is finance. The actual issuance of the driver's license and management of the data should be on the Liberian team, because here's what's happening. We're saying that we want to create employment for our people, and we are creating a situation to get people not to have jobs. I heard there was a discussion. No, they will still have the jobs, but what job will you have if they're paying you for doing nothing? So I think that for some of the reasons that are being stated, security of the data, which is important.
Yes.
The continual employment of our people, so that they can also be able to retain the know-how. I just mentioned here that's part of the APM Terminal MPA agreement took a functioning department called the Marine Services Department, where they managed the boats, they had trained pilots, and gave that function to APM Terminal. What that did in effect over time, it literally dissolved that department. So Marine Services is not only applicable in the Free Port of Monrovia, it's also applicable in Buchanan and other ports. But because that department, out of which the know-how was generated, was dissolved, we are not able to provide marine services in Buchanan or in Harper or in Greenville. So this could be the same thing. If there's a concession that has a lifespan, what happens after the concession? If the only people who have the expertise in handling this were the private company that we handed it to for 25 years. So at the end of 25 years, we may as well hand it over to them again, because our people will not have learned anything about such a system. So I think they got to, and this is very unpopular. If you listen to people, it's very unpopular, and people are spinning it to that, there are security implication. No serious concessionaire wants to operate with that kind of optic. So to the extent that they're claiming that they have a concession which is law, I think the government should sit with them to find a middle way, so that it can come up to be a win-win situation. Because the other thing that is almost obvious, because these are private institutions, those services are not going to be subsidized. Well, I can tell you that more than likely the registration for vehicles and driver's license will increase, because these guys have invested in tow trucks, they invested in police cars. They gotta be a way to make this money, and maybe the current income stream may not be enough to make it. Again, I think the government should allow for public discourse of this issue. Let's hear the voices of the people in the ministry, the concerns that they have. Let's hear the business side, and let's, in spite of the law, let's find a way that we can have some harmony, and then we can be able to regulate driver's license and vehicle registration.
This has always been a problem with most times government arrangements. I believe, just as you said, I said that earlier, that if you tell the guys who are in that particular division of motor vehicle at the Ministry of Transport, oh, you are not going to lose your job. But just as you said, are they going to stay there to be redeployed, or to sit down and just take pay for nothing? Or are you going to redeploy them into other areas? And definitely that was the most active area within the Ministry of Transport, as I saw. I visited there a few times. That's the most active area. If you take that area away, it means the ministry is going to be like dead, because like the civil aviation was moved out of Ministry of Transport.
Shipping was moved to maritime.
Shipping was moved out. How to call this thing?
Insurance was
moved to the central bank. To the central bank. Meteorology will soon be moving. Meteorology will soon be moving out. So what is going to remain there? Rail transport.
Well, they're in the process of creating a national railroad authority, so that authority will also move out.
So it means that the Ministry of Transport it's been skeletoned, at this particular time. So what should have been in the document was the same group of people who signed the initial contract, the last government, they are more concerned about employment for their people. If you sign such an agreement, employment should have been one of the things that you should have put into the concession that you have to accept, or sometimes to bring into your force some of these people, or most of the people who are part of that division, who are trained and have stayed long there, because this is not a company that is closing. This is a governmental institution that you are taking their services away. I think the most thing they should have done was this. But then, and also that concern about personal data, we have to be very concerned about it. People's personal data, So are we going to have one or two people there to monitor them, which is not enough? Because we have seen this where you make people, like, let's say, like the concessions. There's a concession, Middle Steel. They assign one or two geologists there. But they tell us that they are going for iron ore. But you and myself know within the iron ore, people are coming across diamond, they are coming across gold. Are those reported? Because they will tell you definitely that their concession is for iron ore. Even our own people, the geologists that are assigned there, they will all sit down and act like they are not seeing what is happening, and it is not being reported. So are we going to assign people within this place to make sure that these data breaches are going to be avoided? Because there are many times Microsoft will have a big data breach. What happens if Liberia is one of the places our data is put outside there? And if anything of security nature, government decides to close down that particular company, because a company may do something where the government says, well, we don't want this company here today. You have gone against our rules, you've gone against our laws, and you did not go by the document that we signed, and we are closing you down. So what happens to the people doing the motor vehicle, let's say the licenses and other things? Does that mean that those who do not have license will be without license until that's a problem is solved?
Those are concerns. The entire structure of this new program, I think, is something that should be communicated to the people, so people understand. Maybe some of the concerns are not realistic, or they are because people don't know what's happening. So we need to understand what is the nature of this partnership between the government of Liberia and this new company. Because I mean, like most times, these things are just pushed on the people, even if they're good or bad. Nobody knows until years later on, and then we'll start to complain. So again, it is good that the people in the ministry are flagging their concerns, but it's not enough. The public, the officials that are responsible, the government should entertain or open discussion about what this means and make the case for why we should do it. It's not enough to say, oh, the people got a concession anyway, because the work that this company is going to be doing is going to impact everybody. I mean, they're going to have the right to pull you over. They kind of impound your car. I understand that they are offering to have annual vehicle
inspection.
A vehicle or roadworthiness tests. I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna do that in one location in Painesville there, where everybody takes their car there to go and inspect it. So those are the kind of things we need to understand, or else it could stifle everybody if they just set a time and say, look, this time is not about you whether your license plate expire or didn't expire. They say, okay, come August 15, everybody must bring their car so that they can check it. Do they have the ability to do that?
And what are they checking for?
Well, they're checking for emission, they're checking for your brakes, they're checking to make sure your lights working. But to one spot there, everybody will carry their car, and I mean the whole place will shut down. So we need to understand it in totality. Yeah. Government is about the people. So it's not all about money. It's not a 5-year contract. It's not all about money to say, oh, the people will grow our income. No. The whole idea of government is to provide public goods. It's good that in the process we make money, but even that money we make money, but is directed to enhancing public goods. So I think this is something we should discuss. Look, today you are having battle on the airwaves with how ArcelorMittal is a bar company, Beat Mountain is a bar company, and most of those things are happening because people are in the dark. They don't understand what are the laws that govern the operation of these companies to know whether they're enforcing it or they're not enforcing it. You got people who say, oh, the people can bring airplane and go to Beat Mountain and just collect all our gold and carry out. So the companies are operating in complete isolation of the people, whereas they should be a partner of the people so that we understand what they're doing. We know that they are operation enhancing public good, even though they are making money also. It shouldn't be looking like secret, so that people got to be revolting and people demonstrating. If people understood the entire system, even those things that seem to be against them, they will come to the conclusion that, well, we know it, okay, we accept this, we know that it's not 100%, but once there are uncertainty, the limited information, then it leaves rooms of apprehension, doubt, and confusion. So this again, like they put laws, they should be subject to public discussions with professional people looking at what the deal is, what are the strong sides, what are the weak sides. So once we accept it, we already know, you can't get everything, but at least you understand what the deal is.
You see, what is happening there, Cyrus, I could rightly tell you, because let's look at the House of Legislature. Some of the concessional agreements are taken there for ratification. I don't really think that we have the best of minds in the House of Legislature, but they should be able to gather those people together. If you go to the House of Legislature, sometimes you see in every office, you do not even have a consultant. Some of them is the legislator that is there with his special assistant and his group of people in the place that really are not doing research for him. Let's imagine here, if you go to the Capitol Hill, every time that there is session, in one congressman's seat, he got 3-4 of those guys who are from Cornell University, from these big universities doing intern, where if a subject is put on the floor, you see the little guys quick on their phone, on their laptop, quick, they print something, they drop it in front of the legislator and tell him this is why, because they try to get you informed about what you know. But, I'm not being disrespectful to our legislators, but many of them, right after that building, the 8 to 4, the 2 times or 3 times a week, they really don't read. Everything is based on what they have heard before and what they feel it should be. And I still believe that there should be expert advice given to even the various committees. The legislature should be able to, maybe the Committee on Maritime, a man like you, vast in the area, could be considered as a consultant, because there will always be issues that will come. You will not be a permanent person, but once they have a pool of experts in a particular area, when this committee is dealing with an issue, they should make sure they go within that pool and bring in people and tell them, what do we do? Instead of for them just sitting there and they discuss it like they are doing a palaver hot thing. I think it should be beyond that. So
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Maybe they will argue that maybe they have the right people who are advising them already. But I think we should subject these important national issues to public discourse so that we can see the pros and cons. It can help inform our public leaders who are actually signing to understand what is it that they are signing, so that we don't have this kind of backlash later on.
And suppose Joe sits in his village, and the next time you see a minister accompanies the people, a group of investors to the area. We came to see you people. Then they gather the people in the Palaver hut. They all sit down there. We come in, we want to do this here. We're going to provide job for your people and all of this. In the end, all the people who are doing the job are going to come from Monrovia and abroad. And the people in the villages are the ones who do no work there. They got no work there for them to do except as domestic servants and other things and doing the least labor work, So they are working on something they do not even know about, These things, I think our country can go forward if we start making this thing a public discourse. People know what is happening. Our public relations systems must be more viable to be able to let the people know what is happening. We have more than maybe 200 radio stations in Monrovia. Everybody is now on social media. I think the government should go further by really making a platform for people to be able to understand what the government is doing and what is going on in the community, especially in terms of concessions that are coming in. There are a lot of things that people do not understand, because even when they tell you present this, you may not know what they want. You go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for one thing. Oh, bring police clearance, bring this. Then you got to run to the police station and get that. You pay $30, you get that. From there, you go to immigration, you get this. You go to another place to get this. In the end, you have spent more than what you can pay for even the passport document you went for, just because you want this. When all could be sitting out in one place, Cyrus, you have gone to the DMV here. When you go to the DMV, you sit down there, in just maybe in 1 or 2 hours, you got your license with you right there. Because every document you're talking about is already into the system, Because when these things are happening, if we're talking about this, there should be data sharing. If you say you want to identify somebody as a Liberian either by birth or something, that means the database from the Ministry of Health that gives the birth certificate. That database should be
Ministry of Health.
Yeah, it should be drawn in. If immigration is supposed to do something, there's some immigration person there that should be able to go into the system and get it right there. Once it is approved, this person who is at this company, who has access to the information, can easily draw it up and say, okay, you're eligible for driver license. And right there, clear the person, they take the picture, the person take the thing and go.
I agree. So we got that a lot we have to do.
Yeah.
So we need to keep on talking about it. The government, the big thing they're doing now, the government is focusing heavily on decentralization.
Yes.
There are civil society organizations that are also working and are flagging some of these things. So we just need to intensify the effort. But the place to start is just a public discourse about this issue, so that it compels those who have the authority to think outside their immediate environment as they make policies for everybody.
Yeah. The establishment of the passport hubs in the southeast and the central region, they are perfect ideas.
Yeah.
It was really draining people that you have to pay thousands of Liberian dollars to move from Banga to come and run behind passport in Monrovia, when you really did not have to. And it is your right to own a passport as a citizen.
Yeah.
It is not a privilege; it should be a right.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud that too. And the government is also re-emphasizing the utility of the county service centers. I see even in the new budget, they doubled the budget for the county service centers, so that things that you can do in Monrovia, you should do with it. That brings my attention to this, because one of the things that people can get out of the county service center is vehicle registration and driver's license.
Yes.
So now that we have centralized it to a private company, how does that align with the decentralization process?
That is another question that really needs to be answered by those who need to answer it. But I mean, do you tell me some of the old vehicles, are you going to the vehicle cannot move from Banga to Ganta? It only moves from between one small village and the Ganta and goes there. How we expect that vehicle to come to Monrovia for inspection for emission purpose?
What inspection? But you point out what about Abu? Really, I really happy to have joined you guys, but I got a text schedule, so let me go so I can get ready. I'll be catching a flight in a few hours.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Please.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you so much for coming on.
Cyrus, when you text us, I will still be getting to you. You can still get on the show if you have the time.
Okay, I'll be glad to. Okay, guys, so have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Okay, he's Mr. Cyrus Gray, and he went on talking more about the port situation and every other issues that we needed to talk about. So, Mr. Abu, we already out of time. We gone extra 30 minutes into the time. So, let's just get a summary of everything you have to say for now.
I really just want to say thanks to Cyrus Gray for appearing on this show. You know, he really opened up on us for this sports system. For me, I had few ideas, but because I knew he's an expert in the area, I brought him in, and he made me to learn more things about this whole saga of the new legislation, the Port of Monrovia, and the other posts. Now I know what is happening, and we can easily follow up to be able to discuss more, even when the bill is passed finally. Okay, so this is a very good thing. We know that as of now, the posts are not autonomous. The legislators are looking for a way for the ports to be autonomous, and at the same time, they send another bill asking that there should be a regulatory board. And the president says that this regulatory thing you're talking about, you are taking away the function of other agencies of the government, including the maritime. You are taking away their function. That's very good. We believe in that. I mean, the president's veto was all right. All we have to do now is for the legislators to look at it over and see whether they can veto the president's veto by trying to balance and share the ideas. Another thing we spoke about really is this Ministry of Transport. There's nothing much we can do, but the concession agreement has been signed. And we say government is continuity. The UP-led government will not come and say, no, you did not sign the concession with us, and it's not in the interest of our people. But then what becomes the responsibility of the UP government is to see, let's look at this document again. Is there any way you can make a way for some of our people who are already trained in the area of vehicle licensing and all these other things? Can we have them put into your system? You know, can you employ them? And if they are working as government people, you provide the benefits for them and they work with you. Or government can directly assign them into that agency to go to work with them and allow them to work with those people. Another thing is that the drug trafficking. We believe the law is the law. Nobody is above the law. This shouldn't be treated like the 100,000 or 100 million drugs that came in the past administration. This one is going to be followed up to the letter, and an example is going to be set. Someone will have to go to jail for 20, 25 years. Someone who is implicated, we have to do this. We have to go to jail because it's non-bailable. And I still say I did not understand, because according to the paper that you read, they said 2 lawyers came and asked for the culprit or for the alleged victim, for the alleged criminal to be taken for medical attention. No, it should not have happened that way. It should have been the LDEA that should have provided that service. Make sure they put her in the hospital and they are responsible for her while she's in the hospital, and make sure they keep a check on her. What would have happened while in the hospital she escapes? You know, that was a big risk they took. So we are saying that the next time, if a government, even police, you arrest somebody, you should be able to take that person to the hospital if they need medical attention. They need it because it is their right. The police should provide that service. Not because the person is hurt, you say, oh, let the family go treat the person. No, it's not the family's business. It is you, the police, the person is already in your care. You should be able to provide that service, you know. And we should know in Liberia, I mean, if the person is in the hands of the police, then you say, I want to take my son to the hospital. No, it is not your business. Your son is already in the hands of the police. The police should be the one to provide that service. Take them to the hospital of their choice, you know, especially for certain cases. Okay, now we want to say thank you to, there was a topic we did not really discuss much, which is something like the youth empowerment of the president. But at our next discussion, I think we'll talk more about it. We know that
can we just keep that for next? Can we just keep that for the next
time? Yes, but before I go, I just want to say thank you to all of you that was watching this show, and I want to say thank you to the government for the school school launching in Banga, for whatever happened in Ganta, and whatever happened in Grand Chile. The government is moving forward, decentralizing everything, and I think more things are to come. So we'll hail the government for what they are doing good, and at the same time, we'll continue to say thank you to our president and thank you to all of the people in the government who are helping the president to run the country in the right direction. So on this note, I say thank you, and we will be meeting next Thursday.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abu, and thanks to Mr. Gray as well for coming on with everything. So on Thursday, we will talk about the President Youth Empowerment Project that was being launched today. We also focus on some other issues. We're hoping to have Mr. Flamo as well, where we can talk about this government initiative situation with continuity or whatever the government is doing, if it's a new project or just a continuation of the CDC-led government. Again, we'll be on here Thursday, 9 to 10 p.m. as we talk more about issues that matter the most. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Abu, and thanks to all of you for watching the Roundtable.
The EGS Ministerial Complex in Congo, His Excellency President Boaka.
Mr. Triple please provide your name.
The Nation Speaks, the Roundtable Listen, Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Join the conversation that matter the most, live, unfiltered, unapologetic, with local voices and international minds. The Roundtable dives deep into today's toughest questions in society, politics, culture. Nothing is off limits. Your voice, your questions, your platform. Live on Wiz TV, featuring top panelists, Mr. Samuel Abu, Mr. Hamed Fofana, Mr. Cyrus Gray, Mr. Jah Blamo, and your host, William McGill. Heated debate, eye-opening truths, and real impact. Tune in to the Roundtable every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Only on Wiz TV Live. The Roundtable, where every voice counts. When the nation speaks, the Roundtable listen. Tuesday and